Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. I'm your host, Wendy Nystrom, and today we welcome our special guest, Marquita Thomas. She is the founder of Marquita Thomas Consulting and the president of the California LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. So welcome to the show, Marquita.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited about today's conversation.
Oh, I am too. You have such an immense wealth of knowledge. When you and I met many years ago, I was just taken aback by all of your accomplishments. I mean, 23 years of your own consulting industry is gigantic, and you do public speaking and you help small businesses and the DEI strategy, which most people don't have your background in DEI strategy. For people who don't know what that is, that's diversity, equity, and inclusion. So could you please tell us about your background, what led you to enter this field, and your current work?
Sure. So again, my name is Marquita Thomas. I use she, her pronouns, and I have had my own consulting company for over 20 years. I found that when I came out as queer, there were not a lot of resources available to me. And I'm very much if it doesn't exist, you've got to create it. And I started creating community, and from creating community, from social events to I actually produced my own music festival at one point. I did conferences, I did workshops, and then that got me on the radar of a lot of nonprofits across the nation who were looking for help, both doing programming as well as marketing. And then I started getting contracted across the nation. I had a client in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Florida, in Texas. Actually had a client in the Bahamas to basically help them with their brand awareness as well as their programming. And I was just like, oh, I think this is a business. And so I started doing that. I was doing a lot of work around marriage equality. I have no interest in getting married myself, but for people who wanted to get married, it was very concerning to me that at the time, there were no rights for people who were partnered. There were people who were dying alone because their partners could not come into the ICU in the hospital. And the thought of somebody dying alone because there was no infrastructure for their same-sex partner to come see them, because marriage equality was not the law of the land at the time, just did not sit right with me. So I started doing a lot of work around marriage equality, and that got me on the radar of other organizations, one of which being the local LGBTQ chamber here that just said, we have to have you on our board because you're so great at strategy and marketing and community building. I joined that organization. I became president. While I was there, I increased sponsorship, I think like 300%. And I increased membership almost 800%. And then they said, we don't want you to term out. We want to keep you around to keep building this organization. And I was hired as the organization's first executive director. I was there for 10 years.
Oh, wow. That is remarkable.
Thank you. Thank you. It's one of those, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life sort of things. And while I was there, I had some really, really big wins. I was able to get LGBTBE inclusion. That's LGBT business enterprise. That is a certified LGBT owned business. That was not a certification that the city of Los Angeles recognized at the time. And so I worked for 2 years to get that inclusion in the city of Los Angeles. And the city of Los Angeles, I worked with the then president of public works of the city of Los Angeles, and we were able to get that inclusion, which made Los Angeles the largest municipality by economy and population to recognize that certification. And that was a big deal. And that opened the door for the certification to be included in additional municipalities like New York. So now New York is the largest municipality to recognize LGBTBEs. I was also able to see LGBTB inclusion in the county of Los Angeles. And I was the only chamber leader who was invited to participate in every workshop of the rulemaking process around AB 1678, which was a piece of legislation that included LGBTBEs in the procurement of the California Public Utilities Commission. And for anybody who doesn't know, the California Public Utilities Commission, they regulate all of the utilities in California. So that's telecommunications, gas, water, electric. And that rulemaking process was, what is the spend goal going to be for LGBTBEs? Because the inclusion is great, But if you don't have a spend goal, it's
Empty
just,
promise.
yeah, it's performative. So the spend goal that we ended up at after 2 years was 1.5%. And in real numbers, that's $600 million.
Oh, nice.
And currently the utilities are spending about 42 million. So that's a $560 million shortfall. And so that really required a statewide initiative, because there were a lot of areas of California where there was no LGBTQ chamber to tell people about these opportunities. And that led me to the creation of the California LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. And we do outreach to make sure that LGBTQ entrepreneurs know about these opportunities. They know how to get certified. They get connected to the resources that help them build capacity to make them ready for these opportunities, as well as access to capital. And we do matchmaking. We do mentorship for these firms, and hopefully they'll get connected to a contract, because ultimately all of this work is for one simple reason, and that is to address the wealth disparity that exists in the LGBTQ community because of the societal restraints of the past.
Absolutely. And just because that was a lot of information, so I kind of wanted to point out some of the highlights that you mentioned. So the certification is extremely important for people who don't know why that's important. You can get a certification if you're a woman-owned business. You can get a certification if you are a minority-owned business. So this basically diversifies the workforce that's out there. When you work with a city or a county or a state, they have certain goals that they have to meet to basically diversify their workforce, diversify their procurement or who they get services from. So this way, when you have the LGBTQBE, that brings in more diversity. And let's be honest, if we all hire the same people over and over and over again, it's going to be dull. It's going to be boring. You're not going to have innovation. You're not going to have change. I've seen it. I mean, a lot of times people get stuck in that rut. It's like, oh, go back to Bob. Bob, do it again. He'll just do it again. Right. And Bob's going to do the same thing over and over again. And maybe it's not great. So this way we have the opportunity for greatness. So I just wanted to point out that little highlight.
Thank you. And thank you for breaking that down. I've been in this space for a long time. Like you said, I have a lot of knowledge around this, and I try to break down the information and kind of, bite-sized morsels, but it's a lot of information. So thank you for that context. And you're absolutely right. Diversity is good business. And when you have people who have had a advantage for a very long time, they do the same things over and over again. They work with the same people, and then they also have the benefit of having been in business for a long time. So that means that their infrastructure is stronger, their relationships are stronger, they're getting materials cheaper, they have political relationships and local relationships that you may not have as a smaller business. Now, so when we open these opportunities up to additional, to other groups of people, that means that they get to build their business. They get to have, the technical assistance and the resources that these other companies have had. And let's be very clear, the reality of the situation is that Bob will probably still get that contract year over year over year, because he's been doing it for 80 years, right? And in some cases, it may not be realistic for them to switch vendors. But the good thing about minority certification is that there are opportunities for you to work under Bob. So there are tier 2 opportunities and tier 3 opportunities. So you're learning from Bob, who has had his company or is a family business that's been around 80 to 100 years. But now you get to tap into Bob's resources and you get a piece of Bob's pie.
And Bob could learn from you,
right?
Maybe how to do something a little bit better.
Right. Absolutely. And, in addition to that, it may not be the actual, let's say they're building a building. Your tier 2 opportunity may not be actually, I don't know, pouring concrete, but you can also do legal services, accounting services. You can whatever, catering services, photography, drone services. You can do any of those things. And then you get the opportunity to say that you are part of this larger project, which could be a wonderful marketing vehicle for you. If I did a tier 2 opportunity at SoFi Stadium, does that enhance my business? I would imagine it does,
Absolutely. And I love, I wanted to touch back on when you talk about wealth disparities, because I don't think people fully understand just how great they are. When you talk about someone who's constantly precluded from some of these projects or not able to engage or build the relationships that have the better pricing, the political contacts, get things through the system. So how do we make that better? We're using you because this is what you do. Mm-hmm. How you have done that? You've worked some top tier clients as well as individuals. How do you get that ball rolling for people?
So first, it's about making sure that they can be found. So getting that minority certification that allows you to be in certain portals so that you can be found by a utility, a corporation, a municipality. So just the marketing aspect, once you get certified, there are so many different portals you can be a part of, and you can be found that way. There are conferences that you can go to. There are certification events and supplier diversity events. The California LGBTQ Chamber, we have a certification summit on the 28th of this month that is being co-sponsored by the city of West Hollywood. And we are going to have everyone there from Sony Pictures. We're going to have City National Bank there, the California Public Utilities Commission. We are also going to have, there's so many people. We're going to have Southern California Edison, I believe 𝐃𝐫𝐲𝐬𝐳. They're looking at their calendar to see if they can be there. And this gives you an opportunity because you're certified to be in the same room as these folks and tell them about your capabilities, tell them about the work that you've done in the past, how you can make their business better. And there are very few opportunities. Like if you just called Southern California Edison right now, you may or may not get a phone call back. I'm not sure. But if you say, I'm a diverse supplier and this is my capability statement, this is how I can make Southern California Edison, bigger, faster, stronger, then you're definitely going to get that, you're going to get that call back. And like I said, the matchmaking, you're only eligible for that if you're certified. So those are the opportunities. There's also, business development and technical assistance classes that are only available to certified individuals, because we want to make sure that you have the infrastructure to actually be able to deliver on these contracts. And then there's mentorship possibilities if you're a certified business. And just to take a step back really quickly, what does it mean to get certified? Like, how do you get certified? Yeah. First of all, with all certifications, whether it's racial minority, which is MBE, women-owned business, which is WBE, LGBT, which is LGBTBE, then there is the disabled business enterprise, which is a DBE, and then there's service disabled veterans, which is a SDBE. All of these certifications, the qualifications are the same. You have to be 51, your firm has to be 51% or more owned by somebody from that demographic. So if you've got a 50-50 partnership, unfortunately, you don't qualify. But if you have 51% or more, so if you're a solopreneur, well, and obviously it's 100% owned by that demographic. So you have to be the firm has to be 51% or more owned by that demographic. You have to be doing business in America, and your business has to be part of a federally recognized industry. So no cannabis, no adult entertainment, and you also cannot be under another company. So if you're a realtor and you're under Keller Williams, unfortunately, you would not qualify because it's Keller Williams. It's not you. So that's the basic criteria. And anybody can get certified, but it makes far more sense for you to get certified if you are part of an industry that a corporation or a municipality or the federal government or a government agency actually needs. So again, anybody can get certified, but I just want to be realistic. The likelihood of you getting a contract is much higher if Sony Pictures actually needs your services.
Well, of course, yeah. And that's and the wealth of knowledge that you bring. Well, actually, the relationships you have. You quite honestly know everybody. I mean, I know you through our friend Mark, and I've seen you in action. I've seen you at events. I've seen you work in the room. You can't walk 50 feet without having about 100 people say hi to you and want to talk to you and have your time. So you actually have that networking capability, which is well-deserved because you've been doing this long enough. You have those connections. And helping, I mean, I'm all about helping people. You're all about helping people and making things equal and equitable. because I think it's high time we got there. Do you have any particular stories of just a situation that worked out real well? That you saw somebody and you helped them out and you got them there.
Sure. So thank you for your compliment on my networking skills. I actually teach a networking masterclass through my through my
Oh,
Marquita
really?
Thomas Consulting. I love networking. I love building community. Is really what I love building community. Everybody has value. There is no one that you meet that cannot enhance your life in some way, shape, or form. And I truly believe that. So I'm always open to meeting new people. People are very shocked when they find out that I'm actually an extreme introvert and I don't like to leave the house. But for a networking event, I will put my shoes on. So when we're talking about stories, there are just so many great stories of people who have benefited from certification. We had a diverse supplier who got a contract with Office Depot to supply all of their furniture. There was a diverse supplier. We got somebody certified, and within 30 days, he got a $400,000 contract with the state of California. There are diverse suppliers who have been able to work with major corporations like Google and Meta, with various hospitals. One of the things that I did 3 years ago, my colleagues in San Francisco, they worked with the NFL host committee for Super Bowl 50, and they were able to get 14 LGBTBEs as part of the preferred vendors. And the NFL host committee was so thrilled with that was the standard that they chose, that they decided to take to every host committee, was trying to get at least 14 LGBTBEs as one of their preferred vendors. So they came to Los Angeles, and I worked with them to get those preferred vendors. I know that we definitely got 14. We might have gotten as many as 17, but I don't remember the exact numbers. And it was just really really wonderful to see people who were event planners. We actually got somebody who they make acai bowls.
Nice.
They became a preferred vendor for the NFL host committee. We had people who did fleet services, who provided porta potties. We had, I'm trying to remember everybody. A lighting person who does lighting for very, very large events. He became one of the preferred vendors for the Super Bowl 55, and that is something that we will be doing again when the Super Bowl comes back in a couple of years, and we will be providing those services to the World Cup, the Olympics. We are available for all of those outlets to connect with LGBTBEs. We actually have a relationship with LA 28, which is the Olympics and Paralympics, and we will be working with them to provide LGBTBEs as their preferred vendors. So those are just a couple of opportunities that I'm aware of that have happened for LGBTBEs. Just in general, some of them I was directly responsible for, and some that are just have just happened because they were LGBTBs.
I love the fact it's like, well, these are just a couple examples. It's like Olympics, the NFL, the Super Bowl, football. I mean, soccer. Just a few examples. Just what you accomplish in an afternoon in about 10 minutes time. But no, seriously, you are able to actually deliver. A lot of people do a lot of talking. You actually deliver. So if people wanted to work with you and find you, what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Sure. So our website is calrainbowchamber.org. You can just find out the services that we provide. We are a membership-based organization. We would love for anybody who is able to become a member, but we provide resources regardless of whether you pay or not. Our event, the LGBTQ Certification Summit that I mentioned earlier, that is co-sponsored by the city of West Hollywood. You can find that event on Eventbrite. You can email me directly at Marquita, MARQUITA, at calrainbowchamber.org. I am on every social media platform because I love social media. I'm on LinkedIn every day. And it's my full name. That's the the joy of having such a unique name is you can always get your name when new platforms pop up.
That is
very accessible. I love, connecting with people. So reach out to me. Reach out to me.
You are awesome. I mean, the work you're doing, I mean, you're just making the world a better place, which we so desperately need right now. So I am extremely grateful for the work that you do. And the work you do with the chamber. I mean, the whole state of California is under your control, which is remarkable. And the fact that you're helping everyone in the state, nationwide as well, but you're really doing good work. You're doing amazing things.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. I do. And one more thing I will say is, if you are in an area that does not have an LGBTQ chamber and you want to help us get the word out in your area, we're particularly looking for people in Santa Barbara County, in Fresno, Visalia, just throughout the state. And if you want us to come out and do an outreach event in your area, please let us know. We're looking for, help to do the work. We don't know every inch of California. So if you've got, if you think you can get 20 people in a room and you've got a location for us, we're happy to come out and talk about certification. We're actually going to be providing workshops to walk people through the process of getting certified, like top tier concierge service. We only have 297 California-based LGBTBEs for all of these opportunities. So it is imperative. Wow. It is imperative that we get more people certified. So please reach out to me if you want to help us with our outreach.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of work out there. There's a lot of work to be had out there. So that's fabulous work. So guys, please check out Marquita Thomas. Please check out the California LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce. They're doing great work. Get certified. Trust me, this is actually something people look at and they actually do want to check off that box and work with everybody. This is about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and no better strategist than Marquita, honestly. So I'm Wendy Nystrom, your host with Environmental Social Justice. Marquita, again, thank you for your time. You're doing amazing things.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. You guys take care. Bye-bye.